What's up, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more esports talk. Today we talk about a topic I don't usually talk about, but I think it was about a year ago. People were always talking about the decline of Fortnite, the death of Fortnite, especially when Apex Legends came out. I myself on this channel, if you guys are a frequent viewer here, I've never really been one to talk about the decline of Fortnite, but if I were to, I think that time would be now. As you guys can tell by both the thumbnail and the title, that's what we're talking about today, and I have a few key reasons as to why I think now is probably the time more than ever that Fortnite could see a decline throughout the next year, and especially this season, that being season 11 or chapter 2 by most people out there. So firstly, let's take a look at viewership for all you doubters out there. And again, I'm not trying to hate on Fortnite. Still an amazing game, one of the best games probably of all time, and certainly one of the biggest player bases any game has ever seen. They deserve respect for that, always will, and will go down in history as one of the biggest games to ever be played. But when it comes to, of course, this new season, it makes a lot of sense. When we look on screen for all of you guys, the last 7 days have been tremendous. Obviously, 2 of those days were spent looking at a black hole by millions of people, and so viewership has been boosted. It's been tremendous for the game itself. Over the past week, we've had a brand new season, a brand new chapter. That's what it should be like, except for the fact you look at the last 6 months. Viewership obviously down. The last 3 months towards the end of our latest season, actually beginning of season as well, but obviously towards the end of that last 3 months, we had season 10 end. That's why viewership declines, and that does make sense itself. Even though it's most concerning to me, the last 3 days, already viewership is tremendously down for the game. Yes, a brand new chapter, a brand new map shape, not really, we'll get into that in a second here, guys, and already within a week of this brand new season and chapter, viewership is tremendously down. A game that thrives strictly off viewership, and of course with that, the player base that comes from it, and so there's your viewership evidence for all of you guys, and again, that's a very small data set point. We'll have to see the next few weeks, the next few months, how that viewership does continue to trend. I think it might be downward. I hope I'm wrong. You guys can come back here and comment all you want, but viewership has certainly declined over the past few days, even with a brand new season, and that for one is certainly a bit worrisome. Even more so, I would say, at least to me, and you guys can comment down below what you've noticed as well, I think graphically, this game has now changed so much, and a graphic that I really just think the game itself looks kind of bad. I'm going to compare on screen for all of you guys, Season 5, 8, 10, and 11, and Season 5, 8, and 10 really distinctively don't have too many visual differences. I think it actually gets pretty good around Season 8 when it comes to visuals out there. And when I lastly show you guys Season 11, as you'll notice, the visuals, they've obviously tried to make the game look a lot more realistic as we do progress through that gameplay, but I don't necessarily think they've done it in maybe the best manner. Because at least to me, and again, it really matters what your guys' opinion is as well, when I first look at this game, I actually have a hard time watching these streamers now. The gameplay almost seems kind of washed and muddy compared to what it used to be, and I've actually had to click away from streams because I just don't find it near as enjoyable, and maybe it's just over time, but I was really enjoying watching streamers throughout Season 10, and now it seems they've actually tried to make all the textures and everything in the game a bit more detailed, a bit more realistic, and I get that, but the once vibrant colors of Fortnite is now kind of gone. The detail might be there, but the color scheme, to me at least, everything looks kind of greenish and brownish and almost like you can't actually turn the high quality bar up any further, and at least that's what I find. Now, even more importantly, I think a second point out there, if you guys don't agree with the graphics out there that I really don't like, at least visually for me, they don't seem very pleasing so far throughout this chapter 2. I also want to bounce on the fact that when you have someone stare at a black hole for so long, you set an entire map and all of the characters into a black hole, and you spit them out to a newly shaped map, which, by the way, I think we can all agree the shape of the map does not matter whatsoever. You add a bit of water, you sprinkle in some boats, and fish do everything now between the moon and the sun. Yeah, that's all they really added. Has the gameplay changed? Not really so much. I guess they'll continue to change the meta as well, as we'll hop into our last point. And so visually, I don't really like it. And secondly, when it comes to actual gameplay, they didn't really choose to change too much. I would have loved to be spit back out into space and have it take on a brand new atmosphere, but it's pretty much the same game with water and boats and fish and everything in the ocean now on a land-like map. And very lastly, though, when it comes to the competitive nature of the game, yes, they will continue to change things with great updates out there, but it's the constant battle between casual players and competitive players that continues to be a big issue for Epic Games and has always been, right? We've known this for quite some time. It's quite obvious they will continue to actually hammer out updates even before big events out there, which is our third and fourth and kind of final point here. Where is competitive Fortnite really going to go? Because we saw all last year, 2018, throughout this peak viewership, peak player base, tons of events out there, right? DreamHack events. We had Australian Open, tennis sponsored events. We had all the skirmishes out there. World Cup was tremendous. I'm sure, of course, we'll have World Cup again, but we had so many events and so much prize pools flooded into the competitive scene out there, and that's why it did well. We have so many pro players going to other games out there because of Epic Games kind of trying to attune that battle between competitive and casual, and they've always certainly leaned towards, as I'm sure you guys are well aware, the casual player base, the frequent updates, the imbalanced updates they've released. I've already talked about that so many times here on the channel, and so when it comes to the competitive viewership of the future of Fortnite, I think that too does decline, and that also attributes to the future player base, and not only the viewers, but the people who actually play the game declining from this game, as I've shown you in the past few days. Now, I could be misled by all this data, the one data set I did show you guys. I hope I'm wrong, but what I kind of attest to this decline in viewership and player base, it makes sense to me. Visually, I'm not there. Competitively, they kind of attune more to the casual side, so when it comes to events and that viewership, that might fall off as well. And did they really change much for a Season 11 Chapter 2 to be really worth it? Yes, of course, right away we see tons of streamers hyping up the game, but I think viewership-wise, we've seen it's already fallen off again, and could it fall off even further? I think it's possible. What do you guys think? And yes, I know we have the Fortnite Champion Series. That's slowly wrapping up as well. Besides that, though, if they don't announce several skirmishes out there, several big events, and I'm very curious to see if any event holders will actually announce big Fortnite events on top of that, because yes, Epic Games, they can fund all the events they want. The DreamHacks, the ESLs, they can't, though, fund those massive prize pools that Epic Games could afford. You know, the speculation of obviously going to be possibly breaking $100 million plus World Cup next year. So we will see what happens competitively and casually with this game. But if I were to point out a certain time in the history, or at least in the current with Fortnite, if there ever was a decline, I think now is that time. Until next time, I hope you guys all enjoy breaking down esports and gaming news here every single day. If there's a story out there you guys want me to cover, feel free to drop a comment down below. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you guys back here sometime soon. Bye.